Hello friends, welcome to this month's Bon Vivant Atelier. We are going to do something very springy today where we're going to spatchcock a chicken, not a kitchen, a chicken, roast it in the oven at a high temperature to make it nice and crispy. Then we're gonna make a Caesar-like salad, but with some blanched fresh asparagus. I mean, look at this asparagus that has just been cut fresh. And we're going to take some sourdough bread and make some croutons that we're gonna toss in that chicken fat and just have a lovely, simple spring dinner. So let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is spatchcock the chicken. What you need are some good kitchen shears, and you're going to want to turn it over so the breast is on your cutting board. And I have this plastic cutting board down, just protecting the wood cutting board so I don't have to then wash the cutting board. And you're gonna take the scissors and you're gonna cut down the side of the backbone on both sides. And I know this looks like I'm struggling, but I have arthritis in my finger, and so it looks like it's a struggle, but really, honestly, it's not. A lot of times you can have your butcher do this for you. Now you can save this for soup if you'd like, toss it, whatever you wanna do. You can also put it in the pan if you wanna roast it just for some extra drippings. Once you've got the chicken cut through, you're gonna flip it over. Do it this way, cute little chickie, and you're going to bear your weight on the breastbone. You want to break the wishbone. You hear that nice break there? So you're trying to make this chicken as even as possible. And now we're going to put it into the pan. You're going to take some diamond crystal salt and generously salt the chicken. You're also going to do it on the other side. I know you're probably thinking that's too much salt. No, it is not. Okay, then you're gonna flip it back over. And like I said, you want it as flat as possible. You're gonna stick it in a 450-degree oven for about 35 minutes, and then we're going to check the temp. Remember to cook to temp, not to time, but I give you times for an idea of when you need to check your chicken. We're gonna add a little olive oil to this today. And some pepper. So we're going to make a dressing that's very similar to a Caesar salad dressing, and you will find a recipe in my cookbook also where I cheat a little bit and use mayonnaise. If you have good quality mayonnaise, all that's in it is egg and olive oil. And or egg and oil, I should say. This one also has a little bit of vinegar because, you know, it's Duke's, it has to. But this way you're not worrying about raw egg. I love to use raw egg and make a Caesar dressing, but if this makes you more comfortable, do this. If not, you can use one egg and you can use it in a food processor in a similar way. But for this, we're gonna do about a cup of mayonnaise. I'm going to grate a clove of garlic. One reason I like grating garlic versus mincing it or chopping it is because it doesn't seem to release that bitterness that can happen with raw garlic. I'm going to add some Dijon mustard. Probably about a tablespoon. We're gonna add a couple of dashes of Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to add in it also some anchovy paste. If you have fresh anchovies and you want to chop them, that's totally fine, but I forgot to take mine out of the freezer from another pack, so this is what we're doing. We're gonna add the juice of a lemon. And I have seedless lemons here, so I can just use my hands, use the tools that God gave me. Mix this up real good, and then I'm going to add to it some Parmesan cheese, and then season it with salt and pepper. And you want this to be reminiscent of a Caesar salad dressing. So feel free to add more garlic if you'd like, more Dijon, more Worcestershire sauce. This is just an idea of how to make this. I'm gonna clean this off real quick to do the parm. Seem to have misplaced my other microplane. So this is Parmigiano Reggiano. In my book, the only parm to get. And you wanna save some to put on top of the salad also. But this is gonna be about 1/4 cup. This is the consistency we're looking for. We're gonna probably a little lighter because I'm gonna add a little olive oil to it. So we definitely have to have lots of fresh ground black pepper. A lot. A little salt. I'm gonna add in there some olive oil, just a little bit for that olive oil taste. Because if I was making this from scratch, I would be using a good quality olive oil to make that dressing. One of the problems wearing red lipstick is you get red on your finger. I think that's awesome. I'm gonna put this aside as we prepare the next steps. So I'm going to take the asparagus and add it to the boiling salted water over here. And we're gonna cook it for 3 minutes. We just wanna take a little bit of the bite off of the asparagus, but we don't want to make it too soft. We want it a little al dente. Let me set the timer for that. Okay, while that's cooking, we are going to prepare for our croutons. So what we're going to do is when that chicken comes out, I'm gonna take it off the pan once it's done to temp, like to cook it to 160 to 165 degrees. It will come up in temp a little bit. So I'll put it on a board to rest. And then we're gonna take this bread and toss it in the chicken fat and stick it back in the oven for a couple minutes to get crispy. So this was inspired by a couple of different recipes. One of them is Ina Garten does a recipe where she cooks her chicken on bread, and my husband and I would fight over the pieces of the chicken fat soaked crispy bread. That was just amazing. So I'm just cutting this into some pieces here, and we're gonna cut the crust off of it, I think. Well, actually, you know what? I like the crust on this, so we're not going to cut the crust off of this one. I'm gonna cut them into decent sized chunks. I think that's perfect. We have about a minute left on that asparagus. I'm gonna finish cutting this, and then I'm gonna just put them over here in a bowl to wait. And we'll put this aside. In the meantime, we're gonna drain the asparagus and throw it some cold water on it and some ice. We'll take that over to the sink and drain it. I'll be right back. Okay, so now I have that on ice. So blanching, if you don't know what blanching is just bringing some, especially vegetables, in a very quick cook for about 3 minutes, and then dumping the hot water out and put in cold water. And I like to put ice in there too to stop the cooking. I do that a lot for my green beans. They're in my cookbook. And then I have them, you can do them a couple days ahead of time actually, and then saute them. So if you want to just get a nice saute on a veggie and you don't want it to get limp, this is a good way to do this. Another vegetable that might be really good in this salad would be like some fresh peas. It could just be the snow peas, or you could do fresh spring peas. You could put some fresh herbs in this if you'd like. So I'm going to get our lettuce ready. Get the lettuce ready. Farmer, Mikey's Garden over in Hunt, Texas. And I get this at my local store called Fresh Pickins. And it's hydroponic. And hydroponic veggies and herbs are basically, let's see if I can get this out of here. It still has the roots on it. So when I cut this, I'm going to cut it and keep the roots. And then I have a friend that does a garden, and I'll give them to him and he can put them in his garden and regrow some lettuce. So I'm gonna save the bag so I can just put these in there. Whoop, we don't need a Caesar fire. And we're gonna start by cutting the roots off of these bunches of lettuce. So I have this big bowl here that I'm gonna put this lettuce in. Now, if you want to use a knife to cut your lettuce, you are welcome to do so, but I think it can leave some burn marks on your lettuce, and so I prefer to tear my lettuce. I like my lettuce in pretty good sized chunks, so yes, you are going to need a knife perhaps, but this is a fork and knife salad. We're putting roast chicken in this, so it's okay that you are having a big salad. And this is just for myself and my husband tonight, but this is, he only eats 1 meal a day, not because he's on a diet, but just because that's how he is. He just does not like to eat more than 1 meal a day unless we're on vacation, because it tends to make him a little tired, or it means he has to stop working. So I like to make a big meal. And so when I'm doing something like a spring, summer salad for a meal, I want to make sure there's a lot of protein in it with the chicken to keep him full, but also a lot of it, because he'll probably go back and have 3 or so bowls for this. So there we have all the lettuce, and then I'm going to bring over the asparagus. So here's my asparagus. It is so beautiful and bright green. I love it. We're just gonna put this on here. It's all nice and chilled at this point. Okay, friends, look at all of this beautiful grease that we've got going on here, and the chicken, and I'm gonna take it and take it off of this cooking sheet. I'm gonna place it on this cutting board to cool. Okay, I'm gonna move that aside. Put that back here to chill little chickie. And now we're gonna take the breadcrumbs, or the croutons, excuse me, and toss them in all this chicken fat. Okay, I'm gonna also add some olive oil to this, because we got a lot of bread here that we want to soak up all this goodness, okay? So we're gonna toss them in the chicken fat. You wanna make sure that they're all coated. I've turned the oven down to 400 degrees. Just so you know, the last 10 minutes of cooking to get a little brown on that chicken, I did turn it up to 475. If you want to, you can cook it at 475 the whole time. It will be less cooking time. You just have to keep an eye on it, and it can make your kitchen a little smoky, but if you're cool with that, that works. Oh, that's good. Chicken fat, holy cow. It's called schmaltz, is the technical term. And if you were from an area that might have a lot of Jewish population, you can actually buy schmaltz sometimes in stores. They use it a lot in their cooking, like I'm thinking like matzo ball soup and things of that nature. So you want to soak up all this goodness. Yum! And then we're going to put it back in the oven. I'm going to salt these real well. Okay, so now some time for some rosé. This is the perfect wine to go with this dish. This rosé is from Pebble Rock Cellars, which is located in Johnson City. This one is a rosé of Sangiovese. So rosé can actually come from any red grape. It's just basically the skins are kept on anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, a couple hours more if you want some good color. And so it has a nice crispness to it. And it's gonna go really well with the brightness of the salad and the creaminess of the dressing. So we're gonna cut the chicken next. If you have not checked out our friends at Pebble Rock, be sure to do so. So my husband likes a leg and a thigh. So I'm actually gonna leave those whole for him, and I'm just gonna cut the chicken, the breast into pieces to put into the salad. We're gonna let this cool just a little bit. The croutons are in the oven. Actually, I'll give them the wings too. One thing about spatchcocking the chicken, and it cooks so nice and crisp, but also evenly, is it's a lot easier to cut than a regular roast chicken. So that is an added benefit to that. I'm gonna cut on either side of this breastbone. And then this little piece of skin in the middle can be the cook's treat. I'm gonna check on those croutons. I like to cut this chicken like I cut my turkey at Thanksgiving. I like to cut it off the bone, the breast off the bone, and then cut it in chunks versus slicing it. And leave a little bit of skin on there. Make little piles here. And like I said, my husband's gonna get this part. This is gonna go in the rest of the salad. This off the bone. And if you make homemade stock, which I highly encourage you to do so, using bones that have already been cooked is awesome. So I am going to save all these bones for my stock. I have a Ziploc bag started in the freezer of stock. All of this is going to go into the salad. You can cut some of the bigger pieces in half if you'd like. But you want it to be chunks. There you go. Does this not look amazing? Right now I could just eat that, but we're going to finish it. The croutons came out. Let me get the croutons. So these croutons were cooked at 400 degrees for about 12 minutes. You can take it out a little sooner if you want them a little softer. I will see, they're really hot. Let me see if I can make the sound. Oh, crunch. So they are soft enough to bite, but there's a little crispiness to it. And let me tell you, that chicken fat in those croutons, oh my Lord. Okay, let's put this together. Let's assemble it now. So I have my dressing out of the fridge, and we're gonna start by putting a little salt on it. I know you're like, enough with the salt. No, you wanna salt your greens. So we're gonna salt the greens and the asparagus and kind of gently toss that with our hands. Get what was on the top to the bottom. And do it again. And then I like to add a little drizzle of some good olive oil to the greens. This is the Alive by Brightland, and it's for drizzling and dressing up. And I feel this will just dress these greens up a little bit, get them ready for the dressing. And then I'm gonna put some Parm, and I'm gonna toss again. To me, you can never have enough Parmesan or Reggiano. Now, I already broke off the outside of this and used it in a soup that I shared. I'm just gonna use these to toss with. Now that we got the oil in there, I already got oil on my shirt from the chicken. Now we'll add a little olive oil to this side. Some more Parmesan. You actually, if you don't, if you didn't know it, a lot of stores will even have the Parmesan rinds in a box, and you can get some, and they're great added to some soup or sauce. They were in my spring soup recipe that I just shared. Now for the dressing. So let's add some dressing to this. I'm not gonna put all of this in there. I'm gonna leave some of it on the side. I don't like my salad overdressed, and we already have that olive oil going on in there. So I think this is enough dressing, but I'll have it on the side. My husband might wanna take those pieces of chicken and dip it in the sauce. We're big fans of dipping roast chicken in things. Dijon, dressing, aioli, whatever. Okay, let's add some chicken. I want lots of croutons. Lots of croutons. We're gonna do a little more parm, because can you ever have enough Parmesan? And then we're gonna do some fresh cracked black pepper on top. And like I said, you can put any blanched vegetable in this that you would like. You could do green beans if you'd like, but I think peas would be wonderful in this, along with the asparagus and this beautiful hydroponically grown romaine. Try it with some rosé. This one again is from Pebble Rock, which is a rosé of Sangiovese. But you can try any rosé you like. Cheers. Oh yeah, let's give this a try. I don't think it's rude of me to eat out of the big bowl. Do you? Grandma's gonna love it.